teaching method. Now, during my research process, I did change my topic 3 times because I felt it was just too open-minded, too opinionated, and I just wanted to narrow it down to something. And so I got to the traditional teaching method. What is a traditional teaching method? It consists of 3 different methods. The first one is lecture and direct instruction, where it is classroom based and the teacher is the center. It is a teacher-centered method, and it emphasizes learning through the teacher's guidance at all times. Then we have, which I'm sure we've all had it in high school, is seat work. This seat work method is where students are sitting done completely with a piece of paper and their work, trying to figure it out with textbooks or a computer. Not really teacher directed or anything, it's just self-work. Then we have the last one, which pertains more to us college students now. It's listening and observing. Here the educator stands in front of the classroom like in the picture, and the students are just sitting down and listening. Now my question is, do you believe we could learn through these 3 methods? How has education been now? Are children engaged in the lectures? Are we engaged in the lectures in college? We see a lot of people and they're bored. How many can you see here that are bored? Why? Why is it that we cannot engage as much in lectures? Let me type. Why is it that students don't like to learn? It's not that we don't like to learn. It's just that it's not the way we want to learn. Howard Gardner is a psychologist known for his theory of 8 multiple intelligences. These 8 intelligences are 8 different ways students could learn. It means that we do not just learn by lectures. There's 8 whole different ways that we could learn. And Gardner says that these differences are a challenge in the educational system that assumes that everyone can learn the same things and the same way. Which brings me to individualization. Teachers know this. Teachers know that children do not learn or grow at the same rate. So why do they insist on lecturing? Why do they insist on this traditional method of trying to teach the same thing to the same students in the same way? It just doesn't make sense. If they go through their education and they know about this theory, about this psychologist, why do they keep just lecturing like that? There's so many ways that they could lecture. Which brings me to my next slide, which is, these are 4 of the ways, 4 of the learning ways. The first one is the naturalist learners. They learn best by things around them through their environment. This is the newest one there is. And then we have the interpersonal learners. These learners learn best through interaction, through group activities, through seminars, through discussions. These are ways teachers could incorporate this into their lesson plans. And then we have the logical mathematical learners. They learn through investigations, by mysteries, by logic games. And then we have the spatial visual learners who learn through drawings, verbal and physical imagery, which all of these ways of these learners, teachers could incorporate that into their lesson plans. Not just crush them in all together in the same day. No, rotate them, These are 4 of the ways. Then we have the other 4. We have the self-smart learners, which is the intrapersonal learners. These to me are like the independent scholars. They're able to take online classes by themselves. And then we have the bodily kinesthetic learners. These learners learn through physical activity, hands-on learning, acting out, and role-playing. Things like water play, doing a poster, things like this. These are the type of learners that's how they learn best. And then we have the musical learners. They like turning lessons into lyrics, speaking rhythmically, tapping out time. And then we have the word smart, the linguistic learners. They are encouraged to say and see words and read books together. These are all different ways. This is just a little explanation of each of these 8 learners. There is so much that teachers could incorporate into their lesson plans if they just take the time to actually incorporate it and try to teach the students the way they actually know how to learn, the way they actually do learn best. That way the student actually learns what they're teaching. Now, since I've already explained a little bit of it, what type of learner are you? And have your teachers incorporated the ways you learn into their lectures? I am picture smart because I like to highlight everything. I like to have things in hand, like the textbooks. And I am bodily kinesthetic. I love doing posters. I love doing hands-on activities. You could be 2 of them, I guess. There was a study done on 550 faculty members in teaching 700 classes. This was only in 25 institutions around in Canada and the United States. Out of all of those, 55% of those classroom interactions were conventional teachings, which means it was just regular lectures. And there they saw, in those 55% of that classrooms, they saw very, very, very low student engagement. Because they're just sitting down, just looking at the teacher, really, just not interacting into the lecture. And then 27% of this was interactive lectures. And this was only because students were allowed to choose multiple choice questions with a clicker. And only 18% of this whole group was group work and discussions, which is student-centered lectures. And these are the lectures where students move around, they wake up, they're not bored, they're not just on their phone. No, they're moving around the classroom, they're engaging, they're socializing, and these are good things. People remember more by moving around. Which brings me to this picture. I really liked it because it shows we learn so many things. So many things. So do you actually think that we're going to learn all of these things one way? No. We should be able to learn them different ways, which means we should be taught these things in many ways, not just one. And then my public, it's a poster. I am a home educator, which I do individualize because I'm a home educator. I did it with some of my students, and they did it with different materials. They used sponges, they used paint, they used yarn because they liked the texture. I put these words because you could feel them, feel the differences.